You're live.
Yeah, all ready?
Yep.
Okay, so regularly scheduled the finance committee, it is 5:33 on April Fool's Day. And members of the committee that are present are Council Leonard, Council Trimble, Council Dean, Council Fornia. No, you're not, so just three right now, are you Council Yakabaga? We also have Council Fornia, Council Fish, and Council Schaefer.
Actually, I am. It's April Fools.
Oh, got me. All right, so we got a whole committee. Except one. Okay, so the first time is a consent agenda, an emergency repair at the Sky Bridge at the airport.
Yeah, so the first item is the airport was notified by the hotel that the Sky Bridge that connects the terminal to the hotel is leaking. So with the weather and the rain, it's been really noticeable. Our responsibility is to take care of the outside of that Sky Bridge. So this is an emergency repair that needs to get done. We got a quote from Roof Systems of Maine for $40,435. Which will include new barriers, new membranes, and a 20-year warranty. Where this was an emergency repair, we'd like to move forward with this and to get that taken care of as quickly as possible.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, as approval without any objection, thank you. Next, so bids and purchasing.
Our first bid is to waive the bid process. This is for our Visualon camera system that we use throughout the city in various locations. This is for the software and the camera licensing specifically. Our request to waive the bid process is to go with Norris Minuteman. They have installed most of the system as their current software that we use. So they're familiar with our system, they're familiar with the layout and how it's structured and the protocols. So going with another company would be significantly more expensive as they get up to speed on trying to get a handle on our system. So we have a quote for $69,000 that will handle cameras for City Hall, Airport, Cross Center, as well as other cameras throughout the system. And as we replace or older cameras with new ones, we can just add them to this as part of the licensing without additional fees. So we'd like permission to move forward with Norris Minuteman to upgrade our camera software and licensing for $69,000. This was funded in the 24 capital budget, and it is coming in under budget.
Any questions or a motion on this item?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, without objection, that has approval.
The next item is for a partial roof repair at 112 Main Avenue at the airport. We did go out to bid. We received 5 responses for this repair. They range from $25,379 to $47,000. Staff recommendation is to award the bid to the second lowest bidder, which is Roof Systems of Maine. The difference between them and the low bidder is approximately $1,000. The low bidder is out of New Hampshire. We have had no prior experience with that low bidder. And for the difference of $1,000, preference was to keep a local vendor in business with one that we've used quite a bit, and we're very happy with their work. So the recommendation is to go with Roof Systems of Maine.
I just have a question, because this goes along with the next bid, because we'll get the same situation.
Yep.
So, and I agree with the rationale, but where do we draw the lines, at 2,000, 3,000? I mean, if they were a local company, would we said, we'd call around, get some references on them and probably go with them if they were.
Yeah,
local?
there's no set policy that we have. That, obviously we like to keep local vendors.
Mhm.
We like to keep them in business and use them as necessary, but there is no set amount. I did look at that. I was surprised that they were that close considering they would have had to travel from New Hampshire. But certainly, yes, if they were 2 local companies, we don't want to exclude anybody from being able to get into the door
All right,
of city bids. So we would have checked references and seen if they were comparable, we would go with the low
Yeah.
bidder.
so I mean, I know it's, when you look at one by itself, when you look at two,
Right, and there is.
$2,400 total for the 2 bids, but we're looking at them individually, so. Any other questions or motion on this item?
So moved.
Second, okay, this says approval.
Thank you. The next item is a similar situation. This is for partial roof repair at 198 Main Avenue at the airport. Again, went out to bid, received 5 bids. Same two, bidders, Roof Systems of Maine was the second lowest bidder. And the company out of New Hampshire was the, lowest bidder. And the difference was approximately $1,400. Staff is recommending going with Roof Systems of Maine. Again, on site, already doing other roofing processes for us, local company, so they would prefer to stay with who they know and who they have really good experience with.
Make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded without any objection. This bid has approval.
The next item is for another roof at the airport. This is building 457. This roof was damaged during the windstorm event in December. And the airport, this is part of an insurance claim that the city has. The city got quotes from two companies, GR Roofing LLC and Roof Systems of Maine. They were $65,800 from Roof Systems of Maine and $175,000 from GR Roofing. The quotes were sent to our insurance company. They have authorized and agreed to the quote from Roof Systems of Maine. It will be covered by the insurance claim other than the airport's share of the deductible, which is, we're submitting one claim for that in storm. So our deductible should be split among multiple departments. So the bulk of this work is going to get covered by the insurance claim. So we're looking forward to waive the bid process. In this case, go with Roof Systems of Maine for $65,800, knowing that the insurance company has already approved the quote.
All right, questions, anything, Council Fournier?
You said we're waiving the bid process?
Essentially, because of the cost of it, we would typically, this type of project, we would go out to bid for.
Yeah,
But because it was related to the insurance claim in the windstorm,
okay, that's where I was confused, because we did get bids.
we did get quotes, but
That was
typically
for
we would,
insurance.
right, for insurance.
Gotcha. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and no objection, this item has passage.
The next item is for metal castings at the Water Quality Department. It is considered technically a waive of the bid process because we would normally go out to bid for anything over 25,000. They called around and got quotes and they all happen to come in just a little bit above 25,000. But being that close, didn't seem that it was necessary for us to put out an RFP process because we don't expect to get any difference in the pricing. So the recommendation is to go with a low bidder, EJ Prescott, for $25,697.50 for the metal castings, which are manhole rims and risers and covers for them to do the work.
Make a motion.
Second.
Is this bid out every year, or is this a multiple year?
We've been, because of the industry, both Public Works and Water Quality, we've been doing 1 year at a time because we can't get commitment for future pricing because the industry has been fairly unstable. Pricing actually wasn't too bad at 25, at least compared to the last couple of years. So it'll be one of those things that if we can get to the point where we can go back up to bid and try to lock in a 3-year price, we will, but we're not there yet.
All right, seeing no objection, this item has passage.
Our next item is a sole source. This is for 3 valve actuators at the Water Quality. The equipment that we use, which is Rotork valves, there is only one place that we can get them for New England, which is through Atlantic Fluid Technology. They are the sole representative for those valves. In order for them to work with our system, we need those in order for it to be compatible. So the cost of 3 of those with freight is $41,731, and that was part of our approved fiscal year 24 budget.
All right, any questions? Amanda, you don't have anything you need to say on this? No, I'm just kidding. Any, a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, move the second, without objection, this item has approval.
Thank you. Our next item is for valuations of the Perry Road Pump Station and the Kmart Pump Station for water quality. And our system controls 5 pump stations throughout the city. And 2 of them, which need upgrades or replacements, have reached their maximum capacity. The Kmart Pump Station is over by the Bangor Mall Boulevard. Perry Road is just southeast of the airport, on the Odland Road. And we went out to bid for engineering services to evaluate both of those pump stations as to what may need to be done. We've only received one bid response, which was from Haley Ward. Their bid was for $47,000, and that was within the approved 24 budget. So we're looking forward to accepting and moving forward with Haley Ward for $47,000.
The only thing I would say, we may need to rename the Kmart pump station, so.
Yes.
we Know what it is. So. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded without any objection, says approval.
Our next item is for a small front end loader for Public Works. We did go out to bid. We received 5 bids for the front end loader. The low bid was from Chadwick Baras for $82,900. The model that they have bid will work with us. We have excellent past experience with them. And it is well under the budgeted amount. We budgeted $100,000. It's coming in at 82.9. So our recommendation is to go forward with Chadwick Baras for a small front end loader for 82,900.
Just a question, I know this is a smaller piece of equipment, are we still doing the buyback option on some
Yes,
larger pieces?
From the larger pieces we do.
Is there a motion on this? Item?
I make a motion.
Moved and seconded without any objection, yes, sir. Council Point.
Just that,
Oh, he has, is that why he left that, they bid on? It should be noted that
Oh,
Council Leonard is not voting on this as he has a conflict on this item. I didn't notice that, thank you. Is that central equipment?
Was this conflict voted?
It's
It was
previously been
previously-
determined, yeah. Okay, thank you. So, next, so without objection, that has approval, okay, Murphy stated that. Next item,
So the next item is also for Public Works. This is for two-wheel drive work trucks. We did go out to bid. We got 3 responses. The low bidder did come in over our budgeted amount by 22,870. We're going to take the savings that we had from the loader that we just purchased, apply it for that difference. And that would leave about $5,700 that they'll absorb in their operating budget in order to get both of those trucks replaced. So our recommendation is to go forward with Darlings Ford for 2 trucks for a total of $122,870.
I have a question, I know as Director of Public Works is here, you might not be answer, but I know it's a work truck, it's a buying 3/4 ton trucks, but I didn't even know they made a 2-wheel drive. Why are we buying 2-wheel drive 3/4 ton trucks? I mean, I'm guessing that's why they're more expensive, they probably can't even they have to probably go out and buy 2-wheel drive.
And part of it, because I did ask part of that question, part of it, the expense is they have flatbeds. Instead of a box truck, it's a flatbed on the back.
Instead of a regular pickup truck
Right.
body, but the four-wheel drive just isn't really necessary with the heavier load capacity. I mean, we're fine.
Just use it for,
We have Sanders on it, so there's plenty of weight.
Yeah.
There's just not the need for the additional
Right.
four-wheel
And-
drive
right.
capacity.
And with the cost for a 2-wheel drive, a 4-wheel would add another 20 grand at least.
well, no, you see, no. See,
But
Okay.
I wasn't sure that.
I know they
It was
made
confusing.
that 3/4 ton, yeah.
If you go to the four-wheel drive, it's gonna be considerably more expensive.
Yeah, all right. Must have our number. Okay, is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
And he's still, now with the new price, the new ranges, he's fall within our authority to. Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
yep.
so this will be voted less touted, approved. Thank you.
Our next item is recommendation to accept a piece of property. This is next to the Lowe's parking lot. We've been approached by the owner or the attorney for the owner, PS Bangor LLC, in regards to signing over that lot to the city. In lieu of, they currently some taxes due on it, and stormwater charges due on it. And they're looking at just signing it over to the city. And with the release deed, and essentially our piece of it would be writing off those taxes and the stormwater. It's currently assessed at $448,000. They have about $42,500 in real estate taxes and stormwater charges that is due to us. Staff from legal, assessing, engineering, community and economic development, treasury and the finance department all have talked about this property. Looked at the pluses and minuses because the property does contain a retaining wall and a runoff pond. The liability for the city for any potential repairs to that are very low at this point. Our stormwater and engineering department visited. They think that for the next few years anyway, there shouldn't be any issues. Our goal is to turn around and sell that property. The property is also zoned, we could, for a potential housing site. So in line with the council priority, seemed like a good way to obtain a piece of property through a deed process that would have fewer title problems for us to resell as a potential housing site. So the staff recommendation is for us to move forward and accept their offer and have them deed over that property to us.
Yeah. Any questions on this item, Council
I
Point?
just kind of struggle with this. They're feeding it over.
Yes.
They certainly, if they put it up for sale, I would assume they could get more. Or maybe they can't.
I'm not
So-
sure, and perhaps our legal, I don't know what their motivations is to sign it over to us, but
Great, Grace, you
Sure.
Grace is gonna present on this.
Yeah, so we spoke with their attorneys and as far as we know, they haven't been able to sell it at this point. But that doesn't mean that we can't. I don't know what they've asked for this property. They might be asking more than it's worth. I'm not sure. There's nothing built on it at this point. So I'm not really sure.
I just, I'm questioning the assessed value being at almost $500,000. And is that really a true value? I'll look to our real estate.
Put me on this spot.
No, it just
I
seems- it
suspect
seems a
they
little
have
odd.
some tax benefit of this
Hmm.
right, there may be
transaction.
other things that we don't know
That they
about.
might find more beneficial.
I agree, the numbers seem to be odd
Yeah.
from the finance perspective of it. But, you know, our legal staff has gone through the process, others, at least the other departments that have been involved. There's no significant red flags that are jumping out at anybody. And it seemed a way to acquire a piece of property that we might be able to do something with as far as development goes.
Yeah, I was just concerned, I was just thinking it potentially could be an albatross, just,
That is true.
And then-
We're, the city's not gonna be looking to make money on it,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be in a better position to be able to sell it at a,
Hmm.
you know, I guess a more attractive price than maybe they were able to.
Any other questions or? This will be a recommendation of council.
Right, recommendation to go to full council.
Motion.
with our approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second, and any objection to this? Okay, this will go to the
So
council.
it'll be on new business for next week. Our next item, is I'll do a quick, intro and then if we have any questions, the legal staff will stay at the table. This is revising the matured tax and utility lien policy. We talked about this a few meetings ago. This in relation to the state law that was passed as emergency legislation last year. With the intent for municipalities to no longer keep excess money when we sell a piece of tax-acquired property. It requires us to go through a certain sale process. And if there's any, and sell it for the best price that we can sell it for. And if there's any money or funds left over after taxes, utility charges, and other ones that we can deduct by the statute, we have to return those excess funds back to the prior owner. Essentially, it was found that Maine law was in violation of the United States Constitution under the Takings Act law clause. So essentially, we were taking away people's equity in the property when they failed to pay their taxes and lost the property to us. So this is the new process that we would have to go through. So the policy has been modified to incorporate that new law. We will just throw out there that there is current legislation that is being discussed now to revise this law. There was a working group put together that talked about what was missing out of this law. How it could be tweaked. The task force that was put together, I was part of, we submitted a report to the legislature outlining it, trying to scale back some of the requirements and making it a little more streamlined. It was not received well during the working sessions, and the committee passed it, ought to pass as amended, but their amendments actually made it a little more restrictive, we believe. So depending on how that goes through the House and the Senate and the governor, if it all passes, we'll be back in a few months later this fall to perhaps revise it again with new requirements. But this is where we're at now. We want to update the policy to meet current law. And so that we are no longer, at least on paper and in our policy and how we're treating taxpayers, we're complying with what's under statute.
I would just add that the current law requires a 90-day notice, if the city intends to sell the property to the former owner. And if the former owner makes a demand within 90 days in response to that, then we have to follow the process that's set forth in the statute. Our policy, the proposed revised policy is amended as the attachment to comply with that. In the event that the former owner does not submit a demand within those 90 days, then our policy, the law says that the new law says that you can follow other methods to sell the property, and our current policy takes that into effect as well. But that might be the part that changes in a few months, but that's where we are right now. So we've revised the policy to be updated with where the law is right now, with the understanding that we may have to come back and further revise it either after June or after October, depending on whether they pass it as emergency legislation or not.
Yeah, what if there's not a public sale? What if the city takes possession of property and says, we'll sit on it for a while? And you say it a number of years and then we decide to sell it. I mean, does this give a time frame in there?
This
How
is-
long we have to act? Or anything?
This applies to tax acquired
Right, but
property.
we don't have to, could we?
If we don't intend to sell it, we don't have to, don't have to do anything.
But what if we sell it in a
Right,
few
but-
years and they
Right,
make money on it?
the statute doesn't have a time.
No,
Doesn't.
It says
No.
when a municipality decides to sell tax acquired property.
Okay,
So in theory, we could hold it for 20 years.
and still. have
And then when
people
we
on it.
sell it, we may have to comply with this.
Okay.
Because there is no, and
Yeah.
those are some of the issues.
Mhm. Any other questions on this? This is just, Council Leonard?
I was just gonna say, is there gonna be an update from the legislature at some point in regards to like how this is going to affect the entire state, like a year out or something, depending on what has been amended or not? Or are they even looking for any sort of municipal guidance on how this affects us, or is it
Not-
really out of our hands at
Right.
this point?
It's pretty much out of our
Yeah.
hands. Their answer initially when they passed the emergency legislation was, let's create a working group that has all the parties involved, and see what they think and what the changes should be. We did that. We presented them and they went, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. This should be even longer than it is. Because right now the current statute says if we go to sell a property, it has to be listed with a broker for 6 months. One of their recommendations is to change it to 12 months. Because they don't think 6 months is long enough for us to have a property on the market. So it's gonna end up being more restrictive for us to turn around property quickly like we were able to now. Or use it for other alternatives, donate it, or use it for housing and have development agreements. So it's, at this point, we're at the mercy of the state legislature and kind of where they went with this. I think they went a little too far, but we may be able to scale it back. And that's, there's no request for a look back in a year or two. It may be up to municipalities through MMA or directly to try to put in some amendments in the future to say, okay, this is out of hand. And can we at least make some modifications? They understand what the intent is. The intent is not to take people's equity in their property. Fine, we can deal with that. But do we really need to go through all these hoops? And they think we do because they think that we're going to find ways to work around and be able to still keep that money.
And I get that, and I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into this. I know it's been a headache of a process, but federal law is federal law, and we have to abide by it. So,
Yep.
but thank you so much for the update.
Anything else?
That's for that, and this will go to full council next week again, and also a new business for final approval.
So should we, take action on that?
I guess we'd like a little bit of action, make sure that
Okay.
everybody is
Yeah.
okay with it.
A motion or
So moved.
Council, second?
Second.
Without objection, that's
Okay,
approved.
thank you.
Thank you.
And our last item tonight is just an update, for Councilor Poinier and the rest of the crew. I did send a completed, from our perspective, a completed audit to the auditors last week. So it is in their hands, waiting for them to do their final reviews, any particular questions that they may have that they still need to tie out. So we're on hold right now, waiting for them to get back to us. I know they're working on it. They've been sending us questions today that we've been answering. So far, nothing has required a change to those. So from our perspective, I believe that they're done. But once they have finished their process, we should be able to, I don't see any issues from their side so far that will prevent them from being filed this month, hopefully soon.
Okay. Council Fournier.
Unrelated, the school board did their second vote. Did that pass on their budget?
Yes.
Yes,
Was there a reduction from the first?
Yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
it said,
City managers.
city manager is coming to the table.
Grumbling.
So, based on the budget approved by the school board, it is a request to increase the taxpayer supported education by $3,368,866.
And that was a reduction from the first,
I think it was 3.6 or 3.7.
It's almost 3.7.
So it came down a couple, 200,000 to 300,000.
oh, that's all. For some reason, I thought it was more. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything?